Okay, I have a question for you, Clementine. It's a very simple question, but I think it'll be an interesting question to ask you. What is a woman?
I'm not going down the path of debating trans women with you.
What are you talking about? A woman? Anybody who has ever at one point been afraid of a man? It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Do you have an actual argument here?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. So in this clip from the Piers Morgan show, we're going to watch this absolutely entertaining but heated debate between, so you have Andrew Wilson right here, and that's his wife, and they're going to be debating this woman right here named Clementine Ford. No idea who this woman is, but she absolutely gets destroyed by Andrew and his wife. And basically, this woman is a feminist. That's it. And they're going to ask her the simple question of what is a woman? And she can't do it. Anyway, let's get into the video.
There's undeniably been a huge backlash to the whole era of demoralizing all men as miniature Harvey Weinsteins with ambitions that are wickedly patriarchal. Coincidentally, you can read about how that's going on in my upcoming new book, Woke is Dead. Has there ever been a better time for a book called Woke is Dead? But where does the renaissance of masculine men leave the women who thought it was a very good idea? Andrew Wilson was extolling the virtues of a more limited female role in a previous debate on Uncensored when a shocked Emily Austin said this.
Are you married?
Yeah, I'm married. How do you make a married with many children?
Is your
How
wife
about you?
happy?
You married with children? Oh, she's ecstatic.
No, I'm 23.
She's
I'm a boss lady girl, which seems to be driving you crazy.
Yeah.
Working, making money,
I'm just pointing
waiting
out
for the right guy to come along.
The only thing you have no arguments. You just try to assault me personally.
Well, Andrew Wilson's apparently ecstatic wife, Rachel, got in touch on X and told me she'd like to participate in our next debate. And so she will. She'll be joining us alongside an all-new panel of boss lady girls. Well, joining me now is the host of Crucible, Andrew Wilson, Andrew's wife and author of Occult Feminism, The Secret History of Women's Liberation, Rachel Wilson, Emily Wilson, no relation, from Emily Saves America, and the feminist writer and author of I Don't, The Case Against Marriage, Clementine Ford. So welcome to all of you. Andrew, great to have you back on Uncensored. Are you remotely apprehensive about unleashing Mrs. Wilson on the world like this?
No, but she is the only Wilson on the panel that I claim. I'm just pointing that out.
Everyone seems to be either called Wilson or Emily in this debate, in this two-header. Rachel, welcome to Uncensored. You reached out to me on X and very boldly said, if you want to debate this properly, get me on. You're here. How are you feeling about this?
Well, thank you for having me, Piers, and thank you, Andrew, for unchaining me from the stove just long enough to appear today. I got a day pass from the patriarchy.
Patriarchy is benevolent.
It's so true. Yeah. So I'm very happy to be here. People love to attack my husband via me. I'm like the favorite way to do that. So I thought, why not come on and talk to people myself?
So look, Rachel, let's just cut to the quick. A lot of Andrew's critics, not me, a lot of his critics say that he's an obvious, blatant misogynist. He thinks all women should be, kept at home, working away on the stove, the housework, whatever it may be, and know their place in life. You are actually married to him. You've been subject of mockery inadvertently through the last debate we had about this, for having to endure being his wife. What is it like being married to Andrew Wilson?
Well, it's pretty awesome. I mean, he's hilarious. He's a really smart guy. He's very charming. And most of all, he's a great dad and a great husband. And I share his worldview. So I would agree. In fact, I would say I would probably be the more bitter misogynist out of the two of us. If you really had to pick one, it would probably be me. So
really, why do you say that?
I just think that feminism has absolutely destroyed so much of what I hold dear in life, and it's held me back more than it's helped me. It's one of the reasons I started looking into the history and investigating it for myself. And I think it's just created a world where we now have a two-income economy, and for women like me who do want to prioritize motherhood, it makes it extremely hard. It just makes it financially difficult. I faced tons of social pressure. Had my first daughter at 20, wanted to stay home. Everyone around me, even the so-called Christian conservative women, told me it was a terrible idea. you can't do that. You have to bring the baby to daycare. You're going to put yourself at risk. You know, your husband's going to hurt you. You're going to be abused if you don't have your own money and your own career. And I think it's backwards. I think it's the most inefficient, stupid thing we've ever come up with. And that in the future, people will look back at the feminist experiment as a goofy time in history where we tried this wild experiment that failed miserably, and thank God it's over.
Wow. Okay. Well, Clementine Ford, I'm sure that you agree with every word of that, don't you?
Firstly, I'm very glad that you're happily married. It's great. You know, a lot of women are not happily married and they find it very difficult to leave marriages, particularly because of the financial strain. So good for you. I do think that your historical understanding of feminism is extremely skewed. The idea that somehow we have only created a two-income household because feminism has tried to destroy the world is historically inaccurate, in large part. Well, firstly, you're also talking about feminism from your very, and when I say limited, I'm not trying to insult you, but the limited perspective of feminism in America and the understanding of the economy in America. It's not taking into account the global reality of the fact that women have always worked, women still continue to work. Women, for the most part, produce the majority of the world's underpaid, if, you know, drastically underpaid labor. When you talk about a two-income household being somehow instituted by feminism, you're failing to take into account that even in America, you know, the kind of the glamorization of this golden age of marriage in the 1950s to the early 1960s, which the marriage historian Stephanie Coots calls the long decade. This coincided with an increase in women in the workplace. So it's not as if there was this golden age where women where married women, weren't working. For a lot of that, actually, the labor that is required to support the middle class has always been relied on for poor and disenfranchised women, largely in America, black women.
All right. Look,
for a start.
Let
me just finish.
Well, we are going to speed things up a little bit.
And the economy, the downturn in the economy, the boom that happened after the Second World War was unsustainable. It was a wonderful time between around 1940 to 1970 for white working class men in particular, and then it began to
but I have a question
rapidly.
for you.
One of the reasons why women had to go into the workforce was because they had to help support their families.
Okay, I have a question for you, Clementine. It's a very simple question, but I think it'll be an interesting question to ask you. What is a woman?
I'm not going down the path of debating trans women with you.
I didn't mention trans women. I asked you what a woman is.
Okay, I'll tell you. I know that because this is your tactic. This is what you do. What is a woman? I'll tell you what a woman is.
It shouldn't be controversial.
I'll tell you what a woman is. A woman is someone who has at least at one point in her life felt scared of a man.
What?
Sorry?
So
what? A woman is a woman that has been scared of a man in her life? Or anybody that has been scared of a man? Let's go back. I need to hear that again because that was too stupid for me to comprehend.
I'll tell you what a woman is. A woman is someone who has at least at one point in her life felt scared of a man.
Sorry?
So if you're a man and if you've ever been scared of another man, then that makes you a woman. She's basically calling you a sissy. That's crazy. And if you're a woman and you've never been scared of a man, you're no longer a woman? Or are you now a man? What? I mean, bro, what? I mean, this right here probably was the stupidest. I'd rather hear the programmed answer that everybody gives. A woman is anybody that identifies as a woman. I'll take that answer over this stupid, non-coherent. Bro, what did she just say? I need to hear that again. Let's hear that again.
I'll tell you what a woman is. A woman is someone who has at least at one point in her life felt scared of a man.
Sorry?
But you guys never want to talk about that.
Hang on.
You guys never want to talk about that.
So any man who's ever felt afraid of another man is a woman?
No,
What are you
no.
talking
That's
about?
not what I'm saying.
You know,
That's
this
not-
is
that's not what
exactly
I'm
why
saying.
you're wearing that shirt that says repeal. You should put the 19th under it. It's unbelievable. What are you talking about? A woman, anybody who has ever at one point been afraid of a man, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Do you have an actual argument here?
Would you let me finish speaking, or do
Yeah,
you two
how
just
long
plan
is it going to
interrupt
take for
people
you
all
to
night long?
finish? How long is it going to take for you to finish?
Yes, do you really just invite people on your show to be interrupted like this?
Well, Clementine, look, with all due respect, we did do a bit of research into what you said about me in the past, so I think I'm entitled to give you...
So you already know what I think about that question, because I've written about you asking that
yes,
question.
you have. In fact, you said, like all of
So
the
why
big...
would you ask it
Hang
again
on.
when you know what my
I'm
answer
just
to
to
that
enlighten
is?
the audience who have no idea what you're talking about,
Okay.
or me. Like all of the bigots, that's me apparently, currently jumping on the transphobic shuttle to Ding Dong Station. Morgan wants you to believe this is about fairness and equality, specifically fairness and equality in women's sports. That was exactly what it was about. And the problem is, Clementine, with all due respect to you, the reality is...
I doubt it. I doubt it's coming with due respect.
I'll treat you with
but-
perfect respect, but your inability to just simply state what a woman actually is, particularly given 2 weeks ago in the UK, the Supreme Court made it very clear that a woman is a biological female. That's it. It's a scientific fact. The fact that you can't answer that is part of the problem.
I'd like to know, the thing is that I would like to know why you, in particular, are so obsessed with this definition of what a woman is. Firstly, how does it impact you in any way? Secondly,
I have a
I can tell you
13-year-old daughter.
as a woman...
I have a 13-year-old
I can
daughter.
tell you- I
And
can
if my
tell you as a
13-year-old
woman-
daughter decides she wants
I
to
can
compare...
tell you as a
You ask me a
woman that I
question.
have never-
You ask me a question, I'm going to answer you. Well, if you don't want an answer, don't ask me a question. Here's my answer to your question. I have a 13-year-old...
You asked me. You won't let
I have
me
a
answer.
13-year-old daughter. I have 7 nieces, right? And some of them
you're
are
a real
very...
expert then on
So
women,
if I
I
may
guess.
answer your question, some of them are very good at sport, right? The idea
Right.
that they would one day have their dream of potentially an Olympic place or a Team GB place, whatever it may be, a world championship place, taken from them by a biological male, I think is completely outrageous. And by the way, so does most of the world now, which is why there's been a reversing, screeching U-turn on this particular subject. But I come back to my question to you. Your inability to say what a woman is, and yet here you are lecturing women on how they should behave as women. It's completely perverse.
Well, besides all of that, if you can't define a word and we're having a debate about this thing, and if you can't define it, why are we even debating? Right? You're the one, the feminists are the ones saying we're fighting for women's rights. Well, if you can't define what a woman is, why are we even debating? What's the whole point? Forget that, you know, you might have you might have daughters and girls, you know, compete in sports and all that. Sure, that affects them as a whole. But just to kind of focus on the debate table as a whole, they're just having a conversation with people like this here. If they can't define it, if we can't come to an agreement on the words that we're using on, the definition of the words that we're using on, then why are we even debating to begin with? Why are we even having this conversation? Because we can't even agree on what a woman is. So there's no point. There's no point in having these conversations with these people at all.
I think that reducing women, specifically to your biological deciding of what you think a woman is,
It's called science. It's their chromosomes. You have different chromosomes to me. It's not me saying that. I'm not writing.
I'm sure you're not the first.
I'm not writing the science.
I'm sure I'm not the first person. I'm sure I'm not the first person to tell you about intersex people. So how do you?
I'm not talking about
intersex
intersex people.
No. This is all wrong anyway. The intersex is not a third sex. It's not a third sex. That's ridiculous. There is no third sex. There's 2 sexes, male, female, categorized scientifically. Intersex is not a third sex. Anybody can look that up in 5 seconds. Total lie. How did you not know that, by the way? How did you not know intersex is not a third sex?
I didn't say that intersex with a third
You did.
sex. But
yeah,
intersex
that's exactly
people
what the implication
exist,
was.
And intersex people have people
what?
can have a mixture of chromosomes. So if you
Are you saying they're a third sex or aren't you?
If you
Are you
present
saying
to the world as
if they're not a third sex, then you have no argument here. Do you understand that? If what he's saying is
why
this
are
is
you
what is
so
objective.
obsessed?
this
with
is
trans
what,
women?
yeah,
Why
I'll
are you
tell
so
you.
obsessed
I don't
with,
need,
why are you so
I
obsessed
don't
with
need, I'm going
defining
to answer the
trans women?
question.
For a
I don't
start,
need,
for a start,
yeah.
no, everyone has interrupted me. Let me speak for a
You
moment.
just asked a question.
Let me speak for a
You can't
moment.
keep asking
Let me speak for a
questions,
moment.
Clementine, and then refusing to allow people to answer. If
Yeah,
you
so
don't
I'll
want an
answer the
answer,
question.
don't ask a question. The truth
Objective.
about the truth
Fine,
about
go on.
the problem is
Go.
the problem is feminists in particular. I've noticed feminists have latched on over the last few years to this idea that if anybody raised any concerns about the way the trans lobby was trying to make things unequal, unfair, and unsafe for actual women, then they were immediately transphobic. I kept saying, I want trans people to have the exact same rights to fairness, equality, and safety as me or you. However, what was happening was women's rights were being eroded, so that things were not fair, they weren't equal, and they weren't safe. And we saw absolute parodies of this in the Olympics, in the boxing ring, where people who have been banned from the World Championships because they apparently reported positive for male chromosomes were getting in the ring and beating women up in the ring. And so a woman's going to die if this was allowed to carry on. So now people have stopped it. Now sporting bodies around the world have stopped it. But you, Clementine, I say this respectfully, are still flying the flag for this bullshit. And you can't even say what a woman is. And I just find the fact that you want to lecture women like Rachel on how they should be as a woman is completely perverse, given you don't even know or don't want to say what an actual woman is.
I haven't said anything to Rachel. I haven't said anything to Rachel. I've never met Rachel before in my life until today.
Well, you responded to responded to what she said about the role of a woman.
I wasn't lecturing her. I wasn't lecturing her.
Well, it sounded like you were lecturing to me. Let me bring in Emily. Let me bring in Emily. He's been waiting.
I was actually telling her about the historical reality of economics in the US.
Let me bring in Emily.
But you wanted to divert it to talk about trans women because that's clearly
No, you banged on about trans women. I just said to you, if you don't know what a woman is, we've got a problem.
You asked the question, she's wrong.
No, I just...
She's wrong about the economic history. She's the one looking at it through an economic prism that's extremely narrow. She's using feminist standpoint theory to try to tell us what the history of economics is. Yeah. She can't explain to us why through all of human history and all of Western history.
Let her finish, lady. Let her finish, lady. You talk plenty, lady.
Why through all of Western history we were able to raise a family, like a janitor could raise a family with 4 children on his income up until 1970. And what happened in 1970? We pushed women into the workforce in huge numbers, and we practically doubled the workforce overnight by pushing mothers and women into the workforce. This happened right alongside the creation of gender studies as an academic discipline. And now we are in a situation where we don't have a family economy. We have an individual income economy, which means most people can't raise a family without both parents working.
Yeah, so we're going to stop it right there. Absolutely entertaining, just like I said. But I love this. Once again, this question right here, the what is a woman question, is like a litmus test, right? To anybody that is a crazy person, right? That's how I'm going to test you. Like if we're having any type of political debate, we're talking about politics, the first thing that I'm going to ask you is, are you a Democrat, and what is a woman, right? It's okay if you're a Democrat. I just want to see and kind of predict what your answer will be when I ask you what is a woman. Because that will let me know if you are a sane and rational person. That's it. That is the easiest way to determine if somebody is cuckoo or not. If they can't answer and tell you what a woman is, there's really no other conversation to be had. We can't debate about anything. You're just not a smart person, in my opinion. That's just how I feel. I'm sorry. That might hurt your feelings, but you're not smart enough to articulate what a woman is, or you're too cowardly. You're too scared to offend the alphabet community by coming out and saying that women are female, biological female. That's the definition of what a woman is, right? So if you can't come out and say that, if you can't articulate that and believe that and know that, you're either too stupid or you're too cowardly to come out and actually say what the truth is, because you're scared of the mob and being canceled and all of that nonsense, right? So that's right. That's the litmus test to figure out if somebody is sane or not, or if somebody is a coward or not. If you can't come out and say that trans women are not women, if you can't come out and say that and actually believe it as well, then you're not a rational person that we should have any type of discourse with. That's just how I feel. I mean, why would we, right? There's more, serious matters at hand. But if you can't come to this understanding here on a simple thing like biology and men and women, then anything else doesn't matter. Talking to you about the border or the economy or foreign policy or whatever, right, is really irrelevant to me. That's just how I feel. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this debate here from the Piers Morgan Show. Let's talk about it in the comment section. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Leave your opinions down below. Of course, guys, like the video. It really helps the channel out. And if you are brand new, consider and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.